Yo, what up, my dudes? So the title of this video is going to be Trolls Are People Too, and this is a shout out to my man Sean, who we've gone back and forth on different styles and levels of trolling to. So what prompted this is Sean messaged me on the PlayStation, Here, you want to be in the video? Get in the video. Don't just stand there all creepy. You're in the video now. Okay. Anyway, my man Sean hit me up on the PlayStation with some messages and let me know he made this channel. He sent me this apology video. We'll get into that quickly. On what did he make here? Boop, 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 boop. The Milltown Clan with a C gaming channel, although it's clearly a K. So some of you may or may not remember that I had a channel called My Dead Xbox, which is gone now. Poof. And it's all thanks to Sean. At some point, he asked if he could take over the channel, and I was like, sure, whatever. And then I'm not sure what he did to make it disappear, but it's poof, vanished. But me and Sean have gone back and forth in different, when I'm manic, he's posting saying crazy stuff, then I would say crazy stuff, and then I feel like he's comfortable letting you guys know, he's pretty anonymous, that he's bipolar as well, so that he does crazy stuff, and then just all this back and forth with bipolar and trolling and etc. and whatnot and so on and so forth. But the point I wanted to make is, Sean, I love Sean, I love you guys, I love everybody, and the reason for that, actually I'm writing, do I have it right there? Can you see it? A note on trauma. I'm adding that section to my book because just some quick facts, some quick stats on trauma is that I'll post a link to to an article below where I got this stat. But I guess 70% of people, adults, if you look at them between these 24 countries, said they have experienced at least one trauma. In the US, that's 80%. Right now, globally, it's 100% because we're all experiencing a kind of collective trauma from COVID, right? Like, people have lost jobs and their houses, and family is hurting, friends are hurting, countries are hurting. Everybody's experiencing trauma. Everybody has, if you have never experienced something traumatic, odds are you probably will. Even if you quote unquote never do, even though we all are now. But the other kind, if you've never experienced trauma, you definitely know someone who has. Might be a friend, family member, your wife, a coworker. We are all constantly interacting with trauma. Oh, and there's also intergenerational trauma, like the trauma that's passed down to Holocaust survivors or descendants of slaves, like myself, or people who've experienced different kinds of genocide, indigenous people. Oh, look at what's happening in Canada right now with, if you haven't heard, they think they found 3 of these Catholic reform schools with just hundreds of bodies buried in the back of children that died from God knows what. They're war-torn areas. Look, Palestine was in the news recently. Just being Palestinian inside or outside of Palestine is traumatic. And why is this video titled Trolls Are Humans Too? Is really anybody who is doing any kind of trolling, it's without a doubt coming from some place of trauma somewhere. No question. And my point is, even I'm thinking of I just watched some video. New York Times released some video about January 6th, where all those people stormed the Capitol. But people who believe in QAnon Like it's coming from places of trauma. There's just so much trauma everywhere that even, I'm just, I mentioned trolls to begin with, and my man Sean here, but it from just everybody is traumatic. Well, what's that last video I just made? Capitalism it's pretty traumatic. Like capitalism obviously can be awesome. Some people are rolling around in their Teslas and living on the beach and smoking cigars and have all the women, or if they're a woman, have all the men, and they're eating the best sandwiches. So obviously capitalism can be awesome, but it's also very traumatic. And I guess I'll just kind of like, I guess I'll stop there. Like I can probably make this is kind of like turning into a video about trauma when I was mentioning trolls, but yeah, trolls are people too. I mean, all people are people. That's the point. That's the point. Here, I'll roll into my book a little bit, like, and this section on trauma might disappear. I don't know. Like, I keep writing and rewriting stuff. But one thing I mentioned, you guys don't mind if I ramble. Like, now I'm just totally off point from trolls. I could just end the video here. So, okay, if like the video's done here, now we're into bonus content. So now I'm gonna talk about my book. So the book I'm writing is called Flow to Your Dream, and while I'm writing it, I keep adding and learning new things. But the way I have the book broken down, I have the book broken down, or life broken down, into these 5 elements. Right? You have your story, which includes your past, your language, your traumas, your experiences. I also throw your biology in there, right? Can't really control that. You were born, who you are, white, black, yellow. You're not supposed to say yellow, but whatever. Red. So you have your story, right? And then your story basically shapes your vision. It kind of controls what you want and what you don't want, right? Like your dreams. Your dreams are like the good, cool stuff, but it's also the stuff you're afraid of. Like all the, your dream isn't just like, oh, this is what I want. It's also what you don't want, right? So you got your stories, you got your dream, then you got your flow. That's where flow to your dream comes from. And that's just basically, it's kind of the things you do every day. And the idea is to like master the art of living to make life effortless. So you're flowing, right? That's the flow piece. Then you have your environment. Can be as simple as how you set up your room or your bedroom or your house. It can be where you live. Your environment can basically help or hinder your flow, right? Like I have it set up where I have a meditation cushion. So right when I come in the room, it's real easy for me to meditate. And then my journal's waiting right here, and I journal. Environment, last piece, is your community. Friends, family, YouTube channels you watch, online communities you participate in. Maybe you got like if you see CrossFitters, that's a really strong community. Might be your church. All these things, right? So you got story, dream, flow, environment, community. Now, your historic, so as a part of your story, your environment and your community, not the one in the present, the one that you can like adjust and make life flow better, but your historic environment and community, so your experiences and all that, heavily, obviously heavily impact and influence the person you are right now. You watching this video, you, your historic community and environment. So I said all that to just say this one thing that I wrote in there, which is interesting. Like the 2 things that came to mind is like you have like a CEO who's like, I don't know, Jeff Bezos or something, right? Putting together this amazing thing. And then you have on the other end of that spectrum, let's say, a dictator or a warlord, which, we look at as not good things. I suppose there could be a benevolent dictator, but let's say they're not benevolent. But it's funny because like a warlord or a dictator has to do a lot of the same things a CEO has to do, right? They have to form a team, they have to come up with strategy, they have to get people, and like I want to say the only real difference between a warlord and a CEO is just like whoop their environment, community, story and experiences. Like if you took and now I'm rolling into the whole capitalism thing. Like a part of the collective mental sickness with Westernism and capitalism is this idea that the people who are successful mainly because of who they are and how much work they put into what they've done. Now, don't get me wrong, that's a very, very important component. Obviously, something I like to point out or joke about is if you look at like Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk or Bill Gates or Warren Buffett, all these guys, when you look at their history, where they came from, they've had some help. They kind of had a head start compared to a lot of other people. And I mean, on top of that, if you took any of these guys and you just like plucked them up and then dropped them in, I don't want to I want to hate on any regions of the world, but if you dropped them in a region of the world that was currently war torn, they are not going to do anything. If that same mind and skill set gets dropped somewhere where there's no clean water and no food, they're not even going to get the nourishment they need to get their brain to where it needs to be to do anything. Or, like I said, warlord versus CEO, you drop them in these kind of places and they do get that nourishment and their brain starts working, but they're not figuring out how to deliver packages in 24 hours or put ships on Mars. They decide to figure out how to, in a lot of these places where there's warlords, there's war going on, and, they decide to organize their people to, defeat another people's to keep themselves and their friends and family safe. So all of that, this is the same thing with trolls. I can't get this image out of my mind for whatever reason. I don't even remember looking for this video, but clearly I saw a clip of it. The Christchurch shooter. There we go, bringing it full circle back to trolls. That was like one of those crazy, right? He live streamed it all, like a wild situation. And I don't know. Actually, I don't know that kid's history and background or whatever. But what I do know is someone doesn't do that. Someone doesn't do that unless they have like some kind of trauma inside of them, right? Like that's not the kind of thing you do when you're healthy. And like something I want to say that's cancelable if I don't word this properly. But, that what he did was an extremely bold move, right? Like there's people who are probably feeling, just like him, but it's like, it's a really bold move to decide to go out like that. And like what I want to say is that kind of boldness it can be a really good thing, right? Like applied somewhere else. But for whatever reason, his environment, his history, his story, his biology, and then I mean, what you can really say, like that community element, right? Like he was like a super internet dude, right? Like he was hanging out on the the communities and the media and everything that you consume daily, wires you to be a troll or be a, what's something else that's slick, rhymes with troll or starts with T? Be a troll or a Trump. No, that's a troll. To be a troll or just a human being that, like, instead of trying to tear people down, you're trying to build them up. So there we go. Trolls are people too. You know, hug a troll. Give I don't know. That's the end of this video. Bonus content. All right, guys. Peace. Oh, here, one more bonus. My podcasting equipment came today. So I'll do a video with all my gear explaining what I bought, why I bought it, how much I spent. So I don't know if that'll be the next video, but it's coming soon. All right, guys. Peace.